Will you believe me if I told you that the 10,000 naira you're about to spend on shawarma or small chops or something you'll forget tomorrow could one day become over 60 million naira? You probably don't believe me, and I wouldn't blame you, because if someone had told me this years ago, I probably wouldn't believe them. Don't skip this video yet. Stay with me for a few minutes. I'm going to show you the actual numbers, the maths behind it, the investment strategy that could turn a small amount into a life-changing wealth. By the end of this video, you would never see 10,000 naira as too small to invest. Now, before anyone says this is another get rich quick video, no, let me be very clear. No one is turning 10,000 naira into 60 million naira overnight. This is not a Ponzi scheme. There are no betting tricks, no crypto pump and dump. What I'm talking about is something more boring but much more powerful: compound interest. And when you understand how it works, you realize that time is actually more important than how much you start with. Hi, my name is Doyin. I am a personal finance educator and a chartered accountant. If you're new here, you're welcome. On this channel, I share tips on how to make, manage, and multiply your money. Don't forget to click on that subscribe button. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for always showing up. You know how we do it here. We get real, we get practical, and then we get results. Now let's get into it. How to turn 10,000 naira into 60 million naira. Definitely not overnight. In this video, I'm going to use a particular scenario. 10,000 naira invested consistently over a period of years. We are going to look at 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and even 30 years. And I know a question that is already popping up in your mind already. Don't worry, I'm going to address that question. And I'm going to use a fixed return of 15% per annum. I want us to be as conservative as possible, not over promising and under delivering. But when you're under promising and you are over delivering, that's a good one, right? So I'm going to use 15%, but definitely you will get more than 15%. Even if you're putting the money in a money market fund, most money market funds, you get 16%, 19%, 20%, 22%, or even 23%, right? And then if you now do equity fund, you get maybe times 5 or even times 3 of that. Some equity fund, you do 100% at the end of the year. If you do stocks, either NGX stocks or US stocks, you will get much more than that. But I'm sticking with 15% so that we are very conservative. So I'm going to walk you through the different years, how much you will get at each point. And here you will see the power of compound interest. Compound interest, they say, is the eighth wonder of the world. And many people underestimate the power of compound interest. Personally, I love putting my money in investments or things that will compound daily. There are investments that compound daily, but much more you'll see one that will compound monthly. And for this scenario, we are using monthly compounding. And you will see that with the power of compound interest, what you actually contribute every year is less than what you will get at the end of the year. And you'll be wondering where is the magic? The magic is compound interest. So if you invest 5,000 naira consistently every month for a period of 5 years, you would have invested or contributed 600,000 naira. And your interest would be almost 300,000 naira. To be exact, 296,000 naira 817. And so your final value at the end of 5 years will be 896 naira 817. And someone might be saying, oh, that's too small, that's too small. You see, one thing about investment is that you need to spend more time investing. When you spend more time in the game, when you spend more time investing, that is when you get the actual result. And when people come to me to ask for investment advice, I usually ask them, you need to learn to spend more time investing. That is when you will get the beauty of it. You're not investing today, taking the money out tomorrow. So you need to have a proper structure in place that this percentage of my income is going towards investment. This percentage of my income is going towards savings. A budget is very important, because when there is a budget in place, you have proper allocation for different things in your life, and investment is one important one. So at year 5, you can say, nothing is really happening here, let me take out the money. No, don't despise the days of small beginning. Now let's look at 10 years. If you continue to do this for 10 years, at the end of 10 years, you would have invested 1.2 million naira. So your contribution of the 10,000 naira every year for 10 years will just be 1,200,000 naira. and you would have earned interest of 1,586 naira 573. You see, you've only contributed 1.2, but you've earned interest of almost 1.6. And at the end of 10 years, your value is 2,786 naira 573. And remember that we are using a conservative rate of 15% per annum. Now let's look at 20 years. If you do this consistently for 20 years, right, you would have only contributed 2.4 million naira. This is where it gets pretty interesting. You would have only contributed 2.4 million naira, but your interest will be 12.759550. Can you see? What's how? You've only contributed 2.4, but you've earned interest of 12,759,550. And remember, I said that you're not withdrawing your dividend. You are reinvesting the dividend, the interest, and everything. You're putting it back into this investment. And the idea of compound interest is that your capital is earning interest, and the interest as well is earning interest. So it's a continuous circle of interest, earning interest, earning interest, earning interest, and earning interest. And then you can see 20 years, you've only contributed 2.4, but you've earned interest of 12,759,550, and your final value at the end of 20 years is 15,159,550. You can see the gap, 5 years and 10 years. The gap is not so much, but you see between 10 years and 20 years, you have the gap of over 13 million naira. Someone that stay invested, right? Now let's see the gap of 30 years. Like, this is where it is mind-blowing, and this is where it's so shocking. If you're enjoying this video so far, please like and comment. This tells YouTube that more people need to see this video, and you will agree with me that more people need to see this video. So if you continue to invest 10,000 naira every month for 30 years, you would have only contributed 3.6 million naira. And you will earn interest of 66.5 million naira. Can you beat that? Can you scratch that? And then your final value is 70,098,206. See the gap. At the end of 20 years, you have 15 million. At the end of 30 years, you have over 70 million naira. You only contributed 3.6, and you've earned interest of 66 million naira. You see, this thing is discipline. Year 1, you might not see a huge result. Year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 10, year 20, but you keep going and you keep pushing and you keep adding money consistently. Now you are ending up with over 70 million naira. Imagine that your parents started this. I don't know how old you are right now, whether over 30 years or less than 30 years, or even 25 or 20 years. Just imagine that they had started contributing 10,000 naira, put it in a money market fund or in an investment that is even doing 15%. Just imagine. That little 10,000 naira that you're despising, right, is now over 70 million naira. You will call yourself a Nepo baby or a trust fund baby, right? Just imagine the gap between 20 years and the 30 years period. And you see, the truth is, you are not going to stay at that 10,000 naira over the years. Your salary is going to increase, right? You're going to change jobs. Whether you change jobs or you still remain in the same industry or in the same company, right? There will be salary increase. You're not going to stay at contributing 10,000 naira every month. You're going to move to maybe from 10,000 naira to 15,000 naira to 100,000 naira to 500,000 naira or even to 1 million naira every month, right? Somebody say amen. Amen. Yes. And another thing is, the interest is not going to remain fixed for that number of years. It's going to go up, definitely go up. We might see movement of coming down, right? But you can see that compound interest is helping you to bridge the gap. And another thing I also want you to understand, someone might already be thinking, okay, what about inflation? The value of that money right now. See, one thing about investment is when you continue to invest consistently, over time, it allows you to outpace inflation. Do you want to have investment that is worth tens of millions or hundreds of millions, or rather having nothing simply because you're thinking inflation is going to erode it, so what's the point? I hope I've answered your question. Yes, inflation is a factor to consider, but you won't say you are going to stop investing simply because inflation is going to erode your money, right? So where is the point to stay? To have tens of millions or hundreds of millions in your investment account, or have nothing simply because inflation is going to erode it? Yes, we are not saying inflation is not there. Yes, it's a realistic factor to consider. But you're not going to say, I'm not going to invest, I'm going to spend all my money simply because inflation is going to erode it. One thing you should see here is the power of consistency. You see the power of time. I usually tell people, don't time the market, rather spend time in the market. And you can see it from this scenario that I've explained to you, that time spent in the market, 30 years, right? If you do this, you say, okay, oh, now I want to do this for my child, 10,000 naira, or even if it's 5,000 naira, even if it's 15,000 naira, you can use the same scenario. I'm going to drop the link of the compound interest calculator you can use, or you can just go on Google and search for compound interest calculator, and you are going to see this there. Now I want you to see that the 10,000 naira that you're probably thinking is nothing is a seed. And when you plant that seed, because I want you to use this analogy, right? When you plant a seed of maize or mango, you're like, is this small seed? But when you see the tree, like, how can this small seed become this big tree that people are now even standing under it to take shade from it? That's the same way investment works. That 10,000 naira is a seed. And by the time you plant that seed, it will grow to become a tree that you'll be eating the fruit thereof. I hope I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that you should not see that 10,000 naira or that 5,000 naira the same way again. That 10,000 naira can become over 70 million naira if you spend time in the market and if you do it consistently. If this video changed the way you see investing, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who is always saying, I don't have enough to start investing. And before you leave, I would love to hear from you in the comments. What amount could you realistically invest every month? 5,000 naira, 10,000 naira, or 50,000 naira? Leave it below. Let's normalize starting small and staying consistent. And if you're serious about building wealth long term, subscribe to this channel. Every week, we simplify investing so that Nigerians and people can make smarter investment decisions. And I'll see you in the next one. Till then, keep making smart investment decisions. Bye.